大家早上好，中国的观众大家下午好，欢迎来参加我们的网络研讨会。我是于烨，来自荷兰朗和国际律师事务所，我是一名律师，然后同时也是今天活动的主持人。那稍后我们的活动将会用英文进行，所以如果大家有什么问题的话，请把问题或者评论放在对话框里，然后稍后我会传达给各位演讲嘉宾。Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon to our Chinese audience. Welcome to joining our webinar today. My name is Ye Yu. I'm Director of China Practice of Gro Geelkerken Lawyers, a Dutch law firm. So I'm also the moderator of the webinar today. We are very honored to have 4 distinguished speakers of the webinar today. The webinar is called The Landscape, Sino-Dutch Landscape in Football and Innovations. This webinar is organized by the Dutch government and Orange Sports Forum together. So we have 4 distinguished speakers now today, and 2 of them are dialing in from China. Nico, Schiettekatte, the Counselor for Wealth, Health, and also Sport of the Embassy of the Kingdom of the Netherlands in Beijing. And we also have Mr. Zhang, the Vice President of Business Development Operation of AquaBloom Group. Welcome. And today we also have 2 speakers here in the live setting. Joost de Wit, who is the Head of International Partnership at PSV Eindhoven. We also have Rick Slagers, also the Project Manager of Orange Sports Forum. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
And first, before getting into our content today, please allow me to introduce our law firm. Please, slides. So our law firm is a Dutch international law firm with a lot of international practice. In the past 14 years, we have helped more than 300 Chinese companies to do business in the Netherlands, and also the other way around. Our law firm is a full-service law firm. We have really pretty much all the practice that a company needs to develop its business. So our expertise covers from intellectual property law, corporate law, M&A, also privacy, data security litigation, employment law, almost covered every expertise of a legal area. And I am personally a Chinese lawyer. So together with our Dutch colleagues, we can offer like Dutch legal advice and also Chinese legal advice. So basically, we can help companies to set up your entity in China and also in Europe. We can help you to register your intellectual property rights, either in Europe, in Benelux, and in China as well. Draft your bilingual agreements, due diligence check, all these kind of things. And we also have prepared 2 booklets. The first one is doing business in China. It's in English. And the second one is a guideline to show you how to do business in the Netherlands. So it's targeted to Chinese readers. So it is in Chinese. So if you are interested, welcome to send me a message or an email. Then I will email the PDF version to you. And this is also my WeChat QR codes. So if you have any questions, feel free to contact me via WeChat. Okay, let's get started. So there will be a time for questions and answers after each speaker's presentation. So I would appreciate it if you could put your comments or questions in the chat. So I will pass on to our speakers. And our first speaker would be Nico Schiettekatte. So Nico has been living in China, in Beijing, ever since he assumed the duty as the counselor. So with no doubts, he's the expert of the Dutch sports culture and also the Chinese sports culture. Hi, Nico. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon and good morning. If you are in the Netherlands, it's a great pleasure to get the opportunity to say a little bit about developments in sports in China and the relevance to the Netherlands and creating partnerships together. Because we see an increasing interest both from China and in the Netherlands in both widening and deepening the cooperation in the field of sports. So without further ado, let me share my screen and give you the presentation that I prepared. Here it is. Yeah, I hope you can all see this well. On the first page here, you see our Prime Minister Rutte, together with the State Councillor Wang Yi, also Minister of Foreign Affairs. They met in Rome during the G20 and also talked about the Olympic Games. And I'll get back in a moment on that subject, obviously. Now, what does a sports counselor do, in fact? We accompany companies, knowledge institutes, foundations in their process, getting from contact to contract. It's only one letter difference, but I think that the participants know better even than I do, that there's a whole world in between getting from contact to contract. We do that across the entire value chain, so going from research until marketing, and it can also accompany you in the after sales once you've set an agreement with your partners. Now, how do we do this? We can provide you information about the sports sector in China, and obviously also to our Chinese partners about the sports sector in the Netherlands, as you rightly highlighted. We can help you in looking for partners, in getting you in touch with partners, and participating in events. This one is an excellent example of an event in which we participate. We also organize or co-organize events. And there's one event, for instance, from the 26th to the 28th of November. It's a sports expo in Guangzhou, a big one, where I am invited as a speaker, one of the keynote speakers, to talk about the sports sector in the Netherlands. And there's still quite a lot of room still for Dutch companies and knowledge institutes who want to be represented physically or through a poster at the Dutch pavilion. So maybe we can reach out after this seminar to share more information about that as well. Now, obviously, I'm not doing this alone as a sports counselor here in Beijing. You can see from this picture that we have several consulates general in various cities in China, and also what we call Netherlands Business Support Offices, that are offices that are supporting Dutch companies, knowledge institutes, or other Dutch organizations in setting the next steps in their sports ambitions together with Chinese partners. So let us then have a closer look at this ambition in China in becoming a not only a high performance country in the field of sports, but also in stimulating sports for all, and sports also as a way of prevention for good health. I was talking about the State Councillor. Here you see the ambition is formulated by the State Council earlier this year for the coming 5 years, sorry. With a very specific goal and very targeted as well. And so, first of all, the goal to have more people in China to exercise regularly for your health and your well-being, and the sector as well in China. I'm sure that we can say more about that as well from an additional Chinese perspective. So some takeaways from this 5-year ambitious plan from the State Council that you see here on the slide. It's a very targeted aim to get 38.5% of the Chinese people participating regularly in physical activity by 2025. And in my presentations, I often compare these figures and targets, of course, with the Netherlands and what we can then do together. And how what you see on this slide is stepping up the development of public sports venues and facilities, very much as we're doing in the Netherlands as well, hosting more public sports games and competitions, and advancing high quality development of the sports industry, amongst other things. And I will get back to the last point a little bit later in this presentation, focusing very much on digitalization in the sports sector. And the interesting thing is that local governments are urged to include the development of public sports and physical exercise in the master plan for the region's social and economic development. And again, if you want to know more about that, my colleagues in the region, some of whom are participating also in this seminar, can help you in providing more information about that as well. Now, if we look a bit about some figures on exports and imports, now, China obviously is always the country of the big numbers. Also, in this case, you see that the total amount of imports and exports. At the same time, COVID has also had an impact here. We've seen in 2020, in relation to or compared to 2019. Drop in the imports of 89%, even a drop in the exports of 14.5%. Key fields that you see here, which is of course relevant for this particular webinar. Number one, clearly football. I'm sure that Rick will also say a lot more about that on our current experiences in football and innovation cooperation with China. And you see some other sports that are listed here, but it's not an exclusive list. There are other types of sports as well. So let us then have a look at the ambitions, and especially the ambitions in the field of digitalization, as I highlighted a moment ago. The overall strategic goal is very clear in having China one of the leading sport nations in the world. That goes through three key integrations for future development. First of all, sports and education. Secondly, sport and health. And thirdly, sports and relevant industries. That is being developed by 4 new forms of sport that are highlighted here on the sheet: sports and life, digital sports, cultural and sports, and low carbon sports. And here I've highlighted some of the specific elements that are integrated in the action plan for further digitalization in sports in China. You see them listed here on the slides, and I must say it's quite impressive indeed. Now, the organizers asked me to say also something, or as what is called as sports diplomacy. Now, that obviously brings me to the games. I talked about it at the beginning of my presentation. Here you see that we, as the Netherlands, made quite an impression with the Tokyo Games that's finished a month or two ago. We were number 7 in the Olympic Games and even number 5 for the Paralympic Games. And I get a lot of questions from authorities, from research organizations and companies. So how does the Netherlands do this? Good question. Here you see me, myself, next to Wang Beijing. Wang Beijing was a speed skating champion of China. She won the bronze medal in the Vancouver Winter Games in the speed skating. She was bronze medal, so number 3. And so we organized a very nice ice skating event, talking about the experience, the culture of ice skating in the Netherlands. We did that at the residence of the ambassador, whom you see at the bottom of this slide, holding a very high-tech Dutch skate in his hands. You can see that the Dutch athletes are getting very excited. Now less than 100 days for the Winter Games. And of course, for us Dutch people, the National Speed Skating Oval that you see here, where a lot of the speed skating events competition will take place. This also explains why we, with our national logo NL, N and the are both 2 by 2 meters width and height. We did a photo session in front of the National Speed Skating Oval because of this is very close to our hearts, and we had a great cooperation from the Beijing Olympic Committee and the management of the National Speed Skating Oval to do this photo session. And we are really representing the Netherlands here as a sports-loving nation, representing sport as a high-performance activity, a very much innovative activity as well, and at the same time also very much inclusive and a participative activity, enhancing a healthy lifestyle, both physically and mentally, therewith also having a role in the field of prevention. And there we connect extremely well with the Chinese ambitions that I presented a moment ago. Now, obviously, as a sports counselor, you have to give the good example. Let me show you one slide on my personal sports commitment in football to China. This is a football clinic that I held together with a Chinese coach. You see us here, we spent more than 2 hours with 40 children doing a sports clinic. And I must say, I discovered various Chinese talents, both girls and boys. So that really looks very nice for the future of sports, and specifically football in China. So what then can we do for you, representatives here, to do research, market information, and the more focused it is, the better it is, as a general advice, to connect or reconnect with partners you already have. For the moment, it's a little bit challenging to travel, but we can, on your behalf, also connect or reconnect with partners and potential partners, visit them as well. We do that quite regularly, to present you or represent you in presentations like this event that I talked about, which is going to take place in Guangzhou from the 26th to the 28th of November. Be more than happy to integrate good examples that you have, ambitions that you have in the presentations that I will be giving during our Sports Expo in Guangzhou. We've been active and are still very active in football, obviously increasingly winter sports, because China with the Olympic Games has the ambition to make 300 million Chinese people enthusiastic winter sports, and increasingly also swimming, especially swimming for children. We've been active in various cities, not only Beijing, but also, for instance, Shanghai. Sailing activity we will be organizing in Xiamen, handball with Guangdong, and so much more, because I think it's time that I finish off this presentation at this particular moment. So I would like to thank you for your attention, and of course, if there are burning questions now, maybe can take one or two, and I obviously remain available for you after this webinar. Back to you, Ye.
Hi, Nico, thank you very much for your excellent speech. And as we all know that China and the Netherlands, they have been developing their cooperation in terms of sports for many years. And now a lot of things are going on in China, including the Winter Olympics and Paralympics next year will be held in Beijing, I assume. And also, you just mentioned the circular that's published by the State Council, which is a new 5-year plan. So really, as a Chinese, I'm very glad to see all these kind of new changes and developments. And as we also know that even now, China is very good at controlling COVID-19. But still, COVID-19 still has sort of influential foreign influence on the sport. So what do you think about, how do you see the impacts of the COVID-19 on the sports industry in China, either positive or negative?
Thank you very much for this question. When I was showing the figures, it was quite clear that the COVID had a negative impact both for China, because it reduced maybe not so considerably in the export, but more considerably in the import. So that has also very much an impact for Dutch companies who could export less because there was a decrease in demand, and it's very much, especially for the first 6 months of year 2020. So that also had an impact to practice sports in the first 6 months of 2020. It was extremely difficult, especially at the beginning of 2020, almost impossible to go to the stadiums, to go to the football courts, also for the children who had to stay home. So that was quite tough. We've seen that in the Netherlands as well. Quite luckily, we see that also with these governmental plans, both at national level, but also very much within different cities. Recently, I was in Shanghai. Very soon, we'll be going to Guangzhou, to Xiamen, to Chongqing, Chengdu, where there's a great demand to strengthen this cooperation, especially also with the Netherlands, as we have such a high reputation in practicing sports, but also a very competitive and innovative sports sector. So I believe the future is very bright, and I think even more so because COVID had an impact, especially at the beginning of 2020.
Okay, thank you, Nico. Then I would turn to Rick Slagers. And you are the project manager of Orange Sports Forum. As we all know that your company is dedicated to bring all Dutch companies in the collaboration of the potential partners and customers worldwide and vice versa. And you also have initiated a lot of successful projects, either in China or in the other countries. So I will give the floor to you now. So share your stories, please.
Yeah, thank you very much. Also, good morning and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rick Sleegers, and I work for Orange Sports Forum. And Orange Sports Forum is a platform for 300 Dutch sports-related companies. And within our network, we have architects who design a stadium, we have construction companies, but we also have a lot of innovative companies, startups, scale-ups, who develop the latest innovations in the field of sports. And our goal as a foundation, as an organization, is to support those companies with international business, with international projects, and not just from the Netherlands abroad, but also we want to bring foreign expertise to the Netherlands to see where we can improve each other. I've had the pleasure also working with Nico a lot, and with the Dutch embassy in Beijing, but also the Consulate General in Chongqing, for example. So I can completely confirm what Nico said, that it's a very good counterpart for us. The embassies, the consulates are very important for our work abroad. They are very helpful for us in expanding our network in China, but also when we visit China with a delegation of 10, 15, sometimes 20 companies, then they are very helpful in providing and facilitating us with the program and with the meetings. Our work is not just focusing on China, but also and basically worldwide. But for China, we have some specific projects. One of them is a public-private partnership focusing on football and development in China, and even more focusing on West China. So Chongqing, Chengdu, Xi'an. And we've been there several times since 2017, I believe. Each time with a delegation with several Dutch companies. And we were each time very impressed by the ambitions and also the developments in China, which are taking place. We've seen the latest stadiums, we've seen the latest skyscrapers. We've heard about the ambitions China has in the field of professional sports, but also sports for all. And we recognized a lot of possibilities to cooperate together. And especially for that public-private partnership, which started in 2017, and we made this promotional video, which I would like to show you to give you an idea of who we are and what we want to achieve in China.
作为一个体育强国，中国希望借足球为载体，将中华体育文化精髓渗透到社会的各个角落。为达成美好愿景，中国正在竭力寻求拥有深厚足球文化、曾在类似运动项目中获得殊荣的合作伙伴。我们坚信，荷兰正是中国正在寻找的理想合作伙伴。我们同时具备斩获成功的3大重要基石。 荷兰拥有领先于世界水平的精良设施，足球场草坪、 各项训练设施功能多元、安全耐用，品质无与伦比，享誉海外。Sino-Dutch 就是一个极佳范例，它适合安装在体育场附近或公园内，设施搭建方法便捷，能够瞬间将训练场地变成环境可控的舒适环境，供民众全年游乐和训练，保持健康体魄。配合全方位运动娱乐中心建设，为创新体育活动提供场地，将经典、运动、娱乐和休闲有机结合。运动往往需要优秀教练从旁指导，荷兰专业教练遍布世界各地，活跃于各级别俱乐部。荷兰更是不断诞生享誉世界的足球传奇明星，比如早期球员里杰卡尔德、范布隆克霍斯特，以及现在当红球员罗本、范佩西和范迪克。在费耶诺德学院训练期间，我充分培养了足球技能，同时还锻炼了领导能力、自我激励和团队精神，以及如何用正确的健身方式和饮食来关照自己的身体。事实上，荷兰教练均参加过由荷兰足协精心设计的金字塔培训计划。荷兰人希望在全球范围内寻找合作伙伴，建立平等的项目合作关系。中国也是我们的目标。荷兰教练不仅致力于训练球员，同时也乐意与当地教练和合作伙伴分享专业知识，在中国储备和积累教练经验，营造足球文化，为未来发展打下坚实的基础。我们的适应性很强，我认为这一点非常重要，因为当你走出国门，不应该全部照搬荷兰方式，我们尊重所在国家的文化习惯。我们会与合作伙伴共同设计一套全方位解决方案，用于在中国各地区举办大型足球参与项目，让人们更健康，为社会造福。世界一流的设施、世界一流的专业教练，以及世界一流的教育课程和工具，作为您值得信赖的合作伙伴，我们将确保通过合作实现所有计划目标。
So as this video also showed you, we have a huge variety of companies in our network. And we can therefore offer a variety of solutions and partnerships. So we're very happy that we can zoom in on one of those football clubs, in this case, later on during this webinar. But to give you one specific example, our public-private partnership in China already resulted in several successful projects. For example, we created together with a local partner, Dow Pureland, the Weepark concept. And the Weepark are public football parks with a lot of innovations. So in total, one Weepark, there are 7 Dutch companies involved. And at this moment, we already opened 7 Weeparks in China, including Chengdu, Chongqing, Xi'an, Wuhan, and therefore giving more than 250,000 kids, Chinese kids, access to play football and getting them introduced to football. Recently, we also made a partnership together with a local partner and the Cruyff Foundation to open 50 Cruyff courts in China, giving even more Chinese kids the opportunity to get introduced to football and to play football on a Dutch good quality level. So we not just are facilitating the Chinese kids with the hardware, but also with the software. So the training, the coaching, and not just to become the next Ronaldo or Messi, but also just to play for fun, keep moving, keep exercising, and stay physical, active, and healthy and vital, of course. Yeah, topics that are very important these days. Of course, what we also say is that we are the one-stop shop for foreign companies to the Netherlands. Since we have a huge network, a lot of foreign organizations reach out to us and asked us for an introduction to one of the 300 companies in our network. And we are perfectly able to find the right match between, in this case, the Chinese organization or the Dutch organization. So I'm more than happy to follow up on this. but I'm also more than happy to listen to all the other speakers we have today. So, thank you very much, and that's it for now.
Thank you for your nice stories. And I know that the Netherlands is really a sporty nation with a lot of sporty people here. And here it has very top classy training concepts, also training facilities with innovative facilities and also innovative lecturing. So that's the things that with China, we have to learn from the Netherlands. So according to your previous experience, do you see any challenges to share the knowledge and also the concept with your Chinese partners in your projects?
Yeah, it's always challenging, of course, to work on such a distance, even in these times of COVID, where it's very hard to visit China. We've been there several times, but the last 1.5 years, we had to do everything online, of course. But also before that, translating Dutch knowledge, Dutch terminology, Dutch concepts into Chinese, it's sometimes very hard. Also for the language, of course, because we have some very specific language for football and special terms, and it's sometimes hard to translate it on the right way to Chinese. But there's of course a great solution for that, and make sure that you are local, that you have a local presence. So and that you make sure that the Dutch trainer goes to China, and together with a Chinese trainer, they are the perfect match to transfer the knowledge from the Netherlands to China, and also the other way around. And also one big difference which you can see is the Netherlands is of course a small country. But I believe we have over 10,000 football pitches in the Netherlands. So that means we have, I think every Dutch citizen lives 1.5 kilometers from the closest sports facilities. And those are numbers that are impossible in China. We've been in Chengdu, for example, where you only have a few football pitches for millions of people. So of course, that's one of the challenges we try to overcome right now, is to, with those Weeparks, with those Cruyff courts, giving them the possibility to play football on a good quality pitch, and also try to add the software by sending Dutch trainers and coaches there, and also train the Chinese trainers.
Yeah, and you just also mentioned the Weepark projects. I think it's a very good concept. Because accessible facilities, they are very important for the training and also for the hobby cultivation for the kids. And I think a lot of things we are lagging behind from the Netherlands. Maybe one of the factors is that maybe Chinese kids, they don't really have a lot of time to play football, because football is a long-term training, right? The cultivation. You cannot really see this kid is very talented, and in 1 year or 2 years, it has to be a long, sustainable training process. Do you think, do you see China is changing the mentality, or the philosophy is changing now?
Yeah, absolutely. What's nice to experience is that in the beginning that China once wanted to support football, is that they invested a lot in the professional clubs. So they bought a lot of European players for a lot of money, giving them big salaries. But at some point, they also decided that this is not the way to create a good football ecosystem. So you need to start with the grassroots football, with the youngest kids. And in those Weeparks, for example, a kid from 4 to 12-year-old can play football. And maybe not everyone will like it, but the ones who do, they are more than happy and willing to keep playing football. And especially at that young age, the most important thing is to have fun. You do not need to worry about your technique, your tactics, but just play, and you need to be entertained. You need to have fun when you go to the football pitch. And that's the most important thing. And that's something that those Weeparks can absolutely contribute to, because every kid likes it to play on an interactive football wall with lights, where you shoot the ball against the wall and you see a score, how fast your shot was, your pass was, how many times you did it. So it's also really easy to compare the results with other people, not just for that Weepark, but even also for Weeparks in other cities. So there I definitely see a change. And yeah, that's something we also recognize that is very helpful.
Yeah, and thank you for your efforts. And do you see a lot of business opportunities for the Dutch companies to go to China in the sports or football industry?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, in the Netherlands, we play football for more than 100 years. We have clubs, several clubs in the Netherlands who won big European prizes, cups, everything. So we have a lot of expertise and we're more than willing to transfer that knowledge in China. But it's not just a thing that we learn them how to do it. It always has to be a cooperation and a transfer of knowledge, because there's also a lot of things that Chinese ecosystem is way better in than the Dutch. We can also learn a lot of innovation in China and see where we can find, you know, the common grounds and the strengths for a partnership to create even more value. So it's not something we can just do alone. We always need to do it with local partners who know the market, who know the Chinese ecosystem, and who also know a lot about innovations. And when we bring that together, then we can be very successful.
Yeah, thank you. And you just brought up a very interesting topic for us for the panel discussion later, because I also want to know what can this country, the Netherlands, learn from China. So I will save this question to all of you, to all the speakers later during the panel discussion. And now I would like to introduce Mr. Zhang. So Ray is the Vice President of Business Development and Operation from AquaBloom Sports and Technology Group. And it is also a company that's dedicated to build a top sports ecosystem. And Ray himself, he has been working in the football industry for many years in Sichuan province, in Beijing. So as a Chinese expert, and also who also has the international spectrum. So we would like to hear your stories. Ray, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It's very honored to be here to be part of this great event and talking about something about China football and also about the cooperation, the opportunities, you know, with Netherlands. And I will also start to share my screen. I hope you guys can see it clearly. Okay, so I'm from AquaBloom International Sports Technology Group, and you can call it ABSG. So, you know, basically we are kind of a first China-based international sports innovation platform. And we wanted to innovate this sports industry, you know, together with China resources partners and with our international partners. So right now we offer several services and some core values. For example, we do business matching. That's obviously we help the you know, complaints projects from the other countries to find opportunities here, you know, in the market side here in China. You know, not only with the, you know, like the sports federations, sports complaints, but also with local governments. So that's the business matching side. And also we do inbound, outbound. For example, we, you know, sometimes the projects with a mature business model, they want to get in China and to expand their business. And also some China-based, you know, technology complaints and sports complaints. They are very creative. They wanted to see if there are opportunities for them as well in the other countries. For example, in the Netherlands, we have conversations with Rick as well. You know, if we can help the China-based companies to do something in Europe. And technology application, that means, you know, in China, like IT, mobile, or the artificial intelligence or the manufacturing, this kind of industries are well, you know, very well developed, and some of the you know, experience and you know, their technology their know-how can be applied to sports to help the development of sports. And it's something we wanted to drive this innovation and this process quickly. And sports finance, that means that we do some events or services to help the startups, to looking for investment, and also, help this state-owned companies to looking for very well startups with a big potential in China market. Industrial upgrading, that also means to boost the sports industry together with the sports consumption, sports marketing side. So that's basically the values and the core business we are offering right now. And we have some cornerstone partners. Want to mention, like we work with different sectors like academic, technology, global partner in Hong Kong, media at different parts. We work with the Tsinghua University. So they have a sports finance research center. We are the strategic partner, deliver the insights and, this know-how from the academic side, from the top, the experts. And also we work with Johan Cruyff Institute, if I pronounce it right, and also UCAN from Spain. And of course, with, Orange Sports Forum and the other global partners wanting to drive into integrate resources from the other countries, globally, to select the best of them with the biggest potential and do the screening side, screening process, and to apply or to bring to the China industry. So, so far we have done something, case studies want to mention as well. We do the market, the business matching event, with GSIG, and to bring, the projects to Wanda Sports, to the local stadiums and local, high performance centers. And also we work with Sports Tech X, to publish the first Chinese version, of this 2021 Asia Pacific region, sports innovation report. So that's something we also worked with Tsinghua University and Sports Money. It's kind of a media partner of us, and we wanted to, educate this industry, gradually, and something we do. And also we work with other events or the co-organizer or the host. For example, the World 5G Convention 2021, that's something very interesting. We invited some experts from our ecosystem to deliver speeches and bring some insights of how 5G can be applied to sports industry and to promote this experience and this or some know-how and whatever. And I think we know we have football clubs that will participate in this event today. So I want to mention another case that we work with Sport 5 and Frankfurt FC from Germany. We work together to publish a kind of article on IoT Arena project. And also we work together to bring China-based sports or technology companies to go to Germany to do some pilot, programs or some case, in this IoT project in Germany. Then I guess that's something very interesting that we can do together as well. And I think Nico just mentioned that the Guangzhou Phoenix Expo or maybe the Sports Expo. We also work with Guangzhou International Fitness Expo in this month, the 15th to 17th. We work with a host to present a sports technology forum and also a international investment pitching event. So that's something is still ongoing. We also welcome the companies from Netherlands, from the other countries, to participate and to do some opportunities to be engaged with the China market. So that's all about ABSG, and it's a lot of information. And I wanted to share a few information or a few insights about China sports. I think just Nico just mentioned a lot of high levels view landscape of sports. I wanted to break down into a little bit different sectors. So I just wanted to mention 5 keywords of sports in China, the landscape. One is education training, sports consumption, because we wanted to reach 5 trillion GDP in sports sectors by 2025. That's a big number. And sports events and facilities, that's something we can see, obviously, different new facilities and world-class events, is under construction, and also wanting to help in the next coming 5 years. And also sports participation, internationalization. That's the 5 keywords I want to mention later. So first is winter sports. Of course, will be driven by the Beijing Winter Olympic Games that's coming very soon. So based on this, we have a winter sports development plan, from 26 into 2025. And so, because of this, we can see a major the plan from the central government. We wanted to bring, 300 million people to participate in this winter sports, and that's something a huge plan. We can see the opportunities from that. And so by 2021, we have already seen, hundreds of ski resorts in 28 provinces, have been, finished. And also we see some case studies that the startups in this sector has raised some, in venture capital, has raised some investment in this side. So that's a very good sign. Okay, and the second is the on-campus sports section, because I think Ms. Xie just mentioned that the kids in China has very focused on the education, on the homework, but I think this will see a very good sign from the central government. Want to do something to solve this problem, gradually. So this year, we have seen a policy from the central government that there will be no after-school academic training. For example, the training on math or English or physics or the other parts, but to encourage more sports training, more physical activities, and there will be 2 hours exercising, minimum per day for the kids. So 1 hour at school and 1 hour after school. So that's something very ambitious, from the government, wanting to improve the activities for the kids. And of course, we will talk about football today. So this is something, from the 14th 5-year plan for sport development of China. It just issued a few days ago. So there will be some key facts that I just wanted to mention from it. So by 2025, there will be like 0.9 football fields per 10,000 people in China. I mean, it's not a very big, performance compared to the other ones, but it's a kind of huge improvement. And talking about the national team, they want the men's national team to be the first year in Asia, women's national team to be leading position in Asia, which is difficult, but they want to try, gradually. And youth academies, I want to have, 50,000 to be registered in all levels of football associations, I mean, from the local association of the city, of the provinces, including the campus football teams. As they want to see a bigger number of the grassroots, and register players with the 1.5 million, register coaches with the certificate from level D plus, with the 150,000. So that's something you wanted to see from the encouraging policies from the central government, and also to select and support some key cities of national football development in the level of the cities. And last I want to mention is that for, in China, they will always say there are a lot of mega cities of China. There's a lot of cities with the population over 10 million, 20 million. So that's a very big size. So if the companies, or if the, for example, the foreign countries or foreign sports organization, they wanted to explore opportunities here in China, if they have certain connections with certain city, actually have a big potential market here. They can do something with specific cities. So for example, we have Chengdu, Beijing, Shanghai, and whatever. They all issued their specific master plan, for the next 5 years or next 15 years for the sports development. They want to do a lot of key goals, like they want to have more public or listed sports companies. They want more construction of the high standard facilities, and to host more sports events and whatever. So we could definitely find more opportunity in this side. And so I just summarize some opportunities in common with the sports cities, with the mega cities. You can do major events, the sports entities, and for the physical exercise, sports facilities. I also break down a little bit about each section. You can find opportunities or the demands from the market side, like the events management, operators, fan engagement, media, and different aspects. You can find or to make sure if your service or product can fit in this graph. So I guess because of the limits for the time, I just wanted to do some kind of a brief introduction. But yeah, I think with the fast growth of the sports industry in China, we can see a lot of opportunities, and we do see the importance of cooperation, international cooperation. So I just wanted to end this sharing by the slogan of the Sports Winter Olympics, the Together for a Shared Future. We can work for a lot of areas together with Orange Sports Forum, with other partners, and also with us to explore the opportunities here in China. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ray. As I understand from your presentation, you have been working with Frankfurt football clubs about the project of a smart stadium. And it's a very innovative initiative, of course. And innovation and football is also the topic of our webinar today. So I wonder, do you think innovation is getting more and more important in the sport industry in China?
I think it's with a big yes, but also small no. It's kind of complicated here. Innovation means obviously different. If you're talking about innovation in technology, in projects or products, I think maybe not in football. We are experiencing a hard time right now, especially in football. So I guess we can see innovations more and more to be applied or to be implemented to football industry. Maybe, for example, in the coming 3 years or 5 years. But if you're talking about innovation, is the commercial model, business model, or the mindset, I want to see we see many are happening, and it's getting more and more important. We want more innovations on the how to say, to how to set this for example, this sports industry, different sectors more scientifically, more reasonable, and also to how to bring the solutions from the or the know-hows from the other industries into sports industries, because sports industry here in China is kind of underdeveloped. We are we can see the advantages from their other industries, like from the education, from the IT, from the manufacturing industry, which is a leading position in China industry. And right now we are just kind of learning from them and having more talents, with kind of diverse backgrounds into this industry. And so I wanted to see, yes, I mean, it's kind of complicated. It's a big yes and small no.
Thank you. And our last speaker will be Joost de Wit, the head of international partnerships at PSV Eindhoven. Thank you for your patience, because you are the last speaker of today. So PSV is one of the most successful and the largest football club in the Netherlands. And they are very much focused on the innovation. And I think innovation is written in your DNA, because your company is originally built by Philips.
Exactly.
And is sponsored by Brainport's Development, which is a corporation gathered by a lot of high-tech companies and also startups in this area. So, and also yourself, personally, you have been working in the football industry, working for a lot of top Dutch football clubs. So yeah, let's hear out your insights on the football and innovation. So I will give the mic to you now.
Okay, thank you very much. Sorry. Thanks for the invitation. Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. First of all, we're in the recording is taking place in our city of PSV in Eindhoven, which pleased me a lot, of course. We are a proud member of the Orange Sport Forum. I can say so. So very good to be here. First, something personal. I've been indeed. I've been a football player. I've been a football coach, and I've been in the boardroom of football. So I think I went through the whole cycle of doing everything in football. Yeah. And today I want to focus on sport and innovation. I made a presentation for that, but I want to show you that how PSV Eindhoven is looking forward, looking to sport and innovation. Before I start the presentation, PSV is looking for partnerships at the moment, and especially in China. So that's why, of course, we are working close together with OSF. The presentation, creating stars together. That is our strategy, because we come from a small country, Holland. We need to work in partnerships. We cannot do everything ourselves. You see here Ruud van Nistelrooy, one of our biggest talents, who came from PSV, still working at PSV as a coach. Very proud to have him in. But PSV is more than 100 years old. It started, as Jay said, from the workers of the Philips factory. They started playing football among each other, and it grew out to be one big successful football organization. Very successful, I must say, a lot of times champion of the Netherlands, Champions League winner, and Champions League winner still with the smallest city ever. Of course, the Dutch Cup, and almost 50 years present in all European Cups. I saw already a movie coming by where I saw Arjen Robben playing. Arjen Robben is one of the exponents of PSV. PSV produced a lot of football icons in the world, where normally PSV is positioned as the club who sells to the top 10, 15 of Europe. We see here Memphis Depay, who is now playing for Barcelona. Lozano now playing for Napoli, and of course the former Brazilian former player of PSV, Ronaldo, a big star, played all over the world. So PSV is known as a player development club, and that's exactly where we're good in. We know how to raise young talents to the next level. So we already do that more than 100 years. and we do it very successful. It's not only players what we do, but we really focus on coach development too. So you see here one of the most successful PSV trainers, Joost de Wit, who became a semi-finalist with South Korea at the World Cup, but of course had a national team of Holland and Australia, and was working for PSV a long time and still involved in our club. What is so special about PSV? I just told we are very proud to be in a region called Weepark Eindhoven. And Weepark Eindhoven is known for the high-tech companies in this region. I just mentioned Philips as the founder of PSV, but companies like ASML, but also a lot of high-tech startups are here. And Jay already told you, maybe we are a little bit modest about what happens. Technical people are a little bit modest all the time. So, but the time has come that also PSV will export its knowledge and its innovative power in the coming years. You see here in the next slide, I have the first example of innovation. You see here the Weepark partners mentioned, but innovation, you can see it as technical innovation, but PSV, the Weepark sponsorship deal was certainly innovative, because for the first time a region was becoming title sponsor of a club. So not one brand like PSV or Jumbo or another company, but the main sponsor of PSV is the region. And this was so innovative that PSV won the European prize for sponsorship this year with this concept. And of course, it's a new way of looking at getting a big sponsor in, and it is very successful for PSV. Because we are in this area, we like to use the sponsors within our own organization. So every time we see a startup or we see innovation which can be combined with football, we will use it. And it's for us, it brings us to the next level of playing football. And for our sponsor, it gives exposure. So we test new equipments for our sponsors on our facilities, but also in food. I will have another example for that later. Of course, we work with a special methodology, which is already developed for a lot of years, being very successful in raising young children. What is very special at the moment is that we are working on an online coaching tool. I must say that the education of young children is changing a lot at the moment. So what we see is that the way I learned when I was a student is much different from the way young people learn at this moment. So what we are doing right now in cooperation with a sponsor of PSV is try to find new ways in how to get our information about football to young children or to adults. And we think we can do that with special tools we are developing at the moment, which also will be available for our partners, of course. One very nice example of maybe high-tech cooperation is that Philips Medical just brought a new device on the market. It's for muscle ecography, so you can see how muscles grow of young people or where injuries are. And of course, being the partner of Philips, we were the first one to test it. And of course, we are the ones who can bring it into our partnerships and get that knowledge over to you. But it's not only that, that high-tech knowledge, it's also on food. It's on the next level of artificial grass. It's on data science, and very important, we are much into health checks, where sport and health is, of course, a perfect combination. One example I want to show you is this, is where our top sporters in our academy, in our first team, are really looked after in their food. What do you eat every day? And the food before a match is different than the food before a training or after a match. So we developed with one of our sponsors a food coach, which you can use for seeing what the best food you can eat at what time when you sport. So we did it together with our sponsor. It is meant for our own use, but we bring it into our partnerships for use for all our partnerships in Holland, but of course also internationally. We believe at PSV that this will be the future of clubs. So this is also an innovative idea, but it is more innovation on business, on a business case where we see clubs as Manchester City and Red Bull Salzburg having partnerships all over the world, sometimes from a commercial perspective, sometimes from a player's perspective. We think that networking will be the future of professional football, but also with partnerships. So at the moment, PSV is working to get this partnerships done. And of course, China is a very important area to be in, to work together with. Something we do is when we are creating partnerships, we use our ambassadors. So almost in every part of the world, there is a player who played for PSV before. So we like to work together with that icon. He's a star. Young children look at that icon to be their hero. So it's very good to like we said before, is to start at grassroots football. But for young people, they like to have a hero they can look up to. So we use them in our case for being examples. Another part is that we really like to work together. It could be with a professional football club. It could be with a university. It could be with other partners, with producers. So a lot of people are needed here in our region for studying. A lot of students from China are already present in this area. So also that is a link we like to make with our partnership in China. I will come to the last slides, is that, of course, football is our main thing. We know how to play the game. We were very successful in it, but everything around football, of course, the marketing and media, how do you sell your players? How does social media work? Or the exposure in the stadium? Or how to organize hospitality in your stadium. These are all activities we are doing already for so long on a very high level. So also we can share this knowledge with potential partners. Well, that is in short my story. I would say let's create stars together. Again, PSV is looking for partnerships, certainly in China. So don't hesitate to contact me. And okay, I hope to have given some nice examples of innovation. Thank you, Jay.
Very impressive.
Thank you.
The app, the Yongbo app, and also 3D muscle echo, all this kind of high-tech innovation used in the football industry. I was really impressed by your presentation.
Thank you.
And what I know that your training facility is just updated with a lot of innovations.
Yeah.
So can you talk about the role of innovations for your youth academy?
Yes, very important, because what we see are three things. We see that the football is changing. The football is getting much more fast. You see the high pressing is needed. So physically you need to adjust. You see a lot of technical innovations, which can be used to measure. But the third one you also see is that in our academy, the young players, they are learning in another way now. So those three arguments made us change the setup of our academy. So we have exercises to train, cognitive exercises to train them. We have mental exercises to train. So there are a lot of different things integrated in our academy now to get ready for the future, because the world around us is changing.
Yeah, sure. As the main sponsor is Brandport Development, so how does the sponsor deal contribute to the innovative ecosystem for PSV Eindhoven?
Yeah, it contributes in two ways. PSV is using all the knowledge which is at Brainport, and because of PSV, because football is the most important sport, I think, in the world, the most looked at sport in the world, that's for sure.
You're biased.
So I'm biased, I know, but so we can put Brainport, we can give their brand attention so that everybody knows that this area is the high-tech area because they're on the shirt and we promote them. So it works two ways, and that's why this cooperation is very successful.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And I think, given the time limits, let's start it with the panel discussion. I still remember what I just asked to all the speakers. So what do you think that the Netherlands can learn from China in terms of sports industry? So I will give the floor first to Nico.
Thank you, Jay. Excellent question. A very, very triggering question as well. At least, well, let me reformulate a little bit. In what I find extremely interesting in China is this long-term view. Is that at all levels within the authorities, if it's the national authority, regional, local, municipal level, the drive is enormous in taking these next steps, not only sports as a high performance, but also very much in relation to health, in relation to more creating a culture of sports. But the one thing that strikes me very much, and I will be saying exactly the same tomorrow, I'll be doing 2 presentations in the field of health tomorrow as a health counselor as well, is digitization. And that's going very quickly, and Rui was very right in highlighting the 5G developments. I see that everywhere, also in sports. And China has the advantage of being able to taking very big steps in a very short period of time. So that's sometimes called the China speed. That might be something interesting for the Netherlands to look at as well.
Thank you, Nico. Then I will give the mic to Zhang for your insights.
Well, I think it's a very challenging question for me, because I always know something about China's sports industry, but talking about Netherlands, what can Netherlands learn from China? I think it's really challenging for me. But I think first, I will 100% agree with what Nico just said, that China always do something from the very high level, from the central government wanted to do some policies or regulations, wanted to improve the industry. So they wanted to put the resources or the talents or the funds into this industry. That's something we do, but I don't know that's 100% true or right to do. That's the second. That's the first point. And the second point is that I think the Chinese is always trying their best to do something if they wanted to do. So in sports industry, actually, we wanted to improve this industry from decades before. We have achieved something and we failed, and we start again. We draft this master plan again. So that's something we constantly try our best to do. I guess that's the label or the character of the Chinese. So I don't know if that's something also can be applied to Netherlands, or it's some similar, or I just not very sure about that. But I guess that's the reason how we still have a lot of people, a very large group are fighting in this sports industry. and wanted to make a change. Thank you very much.
I will keep up with you for the next question. So, because you have had a collaboration with Frankfurt Football Club, so I wonder, do you think does Western innovation approach really work in China?
Well,
Is it a tricky question?
That's also, yeah, thank you very much. Also, interesting question. I think I always discuss with my colleagues and my fellows in this industry that said, you know, me myself, I'm also a blogger. You know, I always write articles, you know, to translate some articles or to draft some articles, you know, from the European countries into Chinese, wanting to bring us some insights on some innovative ideas, some very interesting projects that is going on, you know, in Europe or maybe in America. You know, there's more developed, more advanced markets in sports. But the you know, the reactions or the answers often is that well, that's very difficult to apply to China market. You know, because of the I still remember that Rick just mentioned that you find it's very difficult when it comes to the language translation and different culture, different mindset, understanding of industry. Because I guess the innovation always, you know, derived from the very well base of the sports industry. And in China, sometimes we don't, you know, easily find this opportunities for application, how to apply to it, how to make people understand better about the benefits of the innovation, you know, in a longer, you know, vision. And also what the roles of the, you know, for example, the sports federation, the clubs, how to get them to understand their roles for them to get involved in this innovation. They're not just customers, clients, but they are stakeholders in this process. But it's kind of not very easy to let them understand, you know, very quickly. Okay, I should put myself into this process. So I guess it's very, very difficult. But I guess the best thing what we wanted to learn from the Western countries or Western sports industry is the first is the ideas, second is the whole process. I mean, how to get the more stakeholders into the process, from the researchers, from the college, from the universities, from the athletes, from the leagues, from the rights holders, from the media. They have to be all linked, you know, together into this innovation, you know, I guess this whole process. So that's something the takeaway from our side, you know, during our past year doing this innovation job in China. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray. And I can't help but noticing that we have a question in the chat, but I'm short-sighted. So Rick, can you read this question for the other audience?
Yeah, we have one question from one of the guests. They're asking that lately we see some negative songs in the stadiums in the Netherlands. Sometimes we even have to deal with racism in the Netherlands, in the Dutch stadiums. He asks us, what can IoT or Internet of Things maybe help to prevent this? And well, yeah, what can that role be in the stadiums to have a nice and entertaining atmosphere? So that's the question that was written down. Maybe if I'm maybe so free to give a first response from my point of view. I know it's very relevant at this moment in the Netherlands. I know also the Royal Dutch Football Association and also the Dutch government are working very closely in solving this this issue. And what they also did is they provided a challenge. They opened a challenge. So they asked to the companies, to Dutch companies, to Dutch clubs. How can we solve this issue? And what they also did is they prepared a budget. So they said, we're open for a few proposals, and we have some budget for you to invest in research and R&D, and also to implement and test these solutions. So that's a very practical thing. And the difficult thing also with IoT in stadiums is that we have a very strict regulation regarding privacy. So it's not possible to record a whole stadium, record all the fans with face recognition and with audio recording, and see who is the one who is, well, starting all those negative songs in the stadium. And that's the main challenge, I think, if you talk about IoT and racism also in stadiums and how you can use it. So I think the technique is there, absolutely. But it's more the legal side of this issue that it's difficult to handle with.
Yeah.
Maybe one good remark is that that of course, being 8 years CEO of a club, I dealt of course also with this problem, but clubs do a lot of to prevent racism. So with example, the PSV Foundation is going, using their stars, going at schools to tell about racism, that it's not normal to do that. So that is a big thing what clubs already do. Rick, like you say, in the stadium, you can use technology, because in a stadium sometimes of 35,000, it's only 20 people who do it. But how to detect those people? It's very hard because they mix around, and so there is technology to use that, but privacy rules sometimes forbid to do that. And the third aspect, of course, then is if you find them, you should be able to punish them and to never let them come into a stadium again. So on all these three aspects, we are working really hard in football. Yeah.
So it's not I think not a thing that can be solved by one organization, but no. Therefore, again, we see that cooperation is very important. No. You need expertise from and support from the government side, from lawyers, from the police as well, from the clubs, and also the companies who provide the technique, the technical solutions. No.
I hope this solved the questions in the chats. Nico, Ray, do you have any other comments on these questions?
No, so far I haven't experienced it here in China, so I don't know whether Rui wants to comment on this.
Not too much. I just want to first. I agree with Rick and I just mentioned the different issues that the biggest issue is how to use the data, legislation and regulation. And I think it's the same question here in China. Maybe it's not recent, but maybe it's the violence, or maybe something not very great behavior happened in the stadium. I think right now we have good enough technology or tools to detect and to find out who's doing such behaviors, but how to use it and how to apply to the wider range in national level. But I guess that's something very difficult to in terms of the legislation, in terms of the privacy. So that's from our side. Thank you.
Yeah, good points. Thank you. So the time is up. So thank you all for your precious time. And I would like to thank you all our speakers for your excellent speeches and excellent insights. So we always say that when the webinar ends, then the real conversation starts. So if you have any questions, or if you have any business collaboration opportunities, just feel free to contact us. So have a great day. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye. Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.